The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen over 25 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And stay tuned for latest updates on the Mike Wagner Show page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. We're here with a wonderful gentleman who was born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico, now down in the South Padre Island. He's got a group called the Revies, and they also got a new song and a new album out called Heart Wagn. So he's going to tell us more about that. And this group is described as a blend of classic rock and rockabilly, and talk about their many influences that shaped this band today. And, of course, talk about some of their upbringings in Monterrey and how they came to the U.S. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from beautiful South Padre Island, ladies and gentlemen, Etienne Rosas of the Revies. Etienne, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Mike. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for the invite.
Well, great to have you with as well, too. So you front with a couple guys called the Revies, and you have a blend of classic rock and rockabilly with a number of influences. You guys were born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico. Now you're in the South Padre Island area. You have a new album and song we'll be playing later today called Heart Woken, and you basically just have a really unique story. And before we get into all that, tell us how you first got started.
Actually, my brother and I, who pretty much started the band, my brother's a bassist, Carlos. We were both born in Brownsville, which is like right by South Padre Island, and we sort of moved around a lot when we were kids, back and forth from the border area of the U.S. and Mexico. And Monterrey, I don't know if you know Monterrey, but it's like way up north in Mexico. It's a pretty big city that's about 3 hours from the Texas border. And when we were younger, that's around the time when we moved over, did high school there, and that's where we sort of got a little bit involved in the music scene, started to get more interested in like learning how to play and stuff. And after there was a couple of contests in Mexico, and we just decided to start to form our own band around there and form a part of that scene. And then it just took off from there. Since then, it's sort of been like a pretty crazy ride, and we've been in Austin. Then we're actually located right now in LA, except for coronavirus issues. We're just hunkering down in Texas for now. But yeah, the band is actually based in LA now, and has half of our members are from the LA area. James is the drummer, and Keith, who's our electric cello. They're both based in LA, and that's where we've sort of now started recording our newest stuff, and been doing it ever since 2016. So it's been a crazy ride. And nowadays, I think our influences are taking a lot more of the California vibe to them.
Mm-hmm. And that's amazing, too. Speaking of influences, what was that one moment that influenced you into getting into music and where you are today?
So I guess like both Carlos and I, since we were kids, we listened a lot to like the Beatles and the Doors and Creedence and that sort of thing. It was kind of like a very unique upbringing musically, but we always had like a connection to it. And when we first started hearing like stuff that was modern, I guess for that time, which was like Rage Against the Machine and stuff, we were sort of inspired by like the heavier rock sounds. And when we just realized that friends of ours were also kind of like playing instruments and stuff, we just thought, why not? Let's give it a shot. There was a contest that asked us to record a song and send it in, and even though we didn't win, just the very idea of like actually writing a song and recording it at a studio was pretty addictive. So from there, we just kept on writing and kept on doing stuff, and then it just hasn't really stopped. It's sort of been this bug that we can't shake, and we don't want to. So it's been great.
It sounds like you guys have really a lot of fun, and besides the Beatles, Doors, CCR, and Rage Against the Machine, and some of the others you mentioned, who are some of your other favorite artists and singers and other musicians growing up?
Other albums or general influences?
No, just other general influences, other favorite artists, singers, and musicians growing up.
So I guess like I started to be influenced a lot by like grunge stuff. So like the more like Soundgarden, Audioslave, anything that Chris Cornell did was a huge influence to me musically and like as a singer. But every one of the band members, I think we have a close connection to Incubus. That was one of our big influences. We all liked, stuff like Primus and those sorts of things that we grew up on. And the later stuff that we've followed, or I follow, is like, for example, the Jack White, some Black Keys and Elliott Smith for lyrics and stuff like that. So it's a little bit all over the place. James, for example, is more of a progressive drummer. I think he kind of brings the rock and roll edge when he plays with us, but he definitely has, you can hear like some of his fills and stuff are very prog. So It's an interesting mix of elements.
It sounds really interesting too. And being in Monterrey for quite a few years, what was the music scene like over there? What was it like in Monterrey?
So Monterrey is it's a pretty big city. It's like about 4 million people, and it's kind of reduced in the sense that you have a very compact rock scene. When we were barely getting started, it was a little difficult because that's around the time that the music labels, who usually were the ones who supported artists there, stopped having as much money. So I think the bar scene we didn't get the best time. And then afterwards, when there was the whole war on drugs thing that really hit the North hard, the places where we used to work at, as musicians, started just closing down and started to get a little dangerous. So that's around the time when we actually left. Before then, it wasn't, I wouldn't say buzzing, but it was still, it was doing pretty well. It was growing. We had a lot of musician friends that we still hang out with, but it wasn't as supportive, I guess, as anywhere in the U.S. might have been. So that's when we decided also to make the move over to Austin and try our luck there. Mm-hmm. Then a bunch of stuff happened, but we really took it on more earnestly, I guess, when we got to L.A.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like that you got your chops down pretty good in Monterrey and moving over to Austin. And how would you compare living in Monterrey, Mexico, to Austin? In terms of living, music, and everything else. And how do you compare that?
Well, it's such a different environment. Monterrey is highly. I mean, I guess there's a lot of different worlds even within cities in the U.S. But Monterrey is a very stark difference. So rock is kind of a nice place in the middle that you have people from every social class, coming to shows and stuff. So it was kind of a very cool artistic expression there. And Austin has more of a, it has the grassroots sort of rockabilly and country stuff also going for it. So it's a very and there's also a huge indie scene. So it's just you breathe music in Austin. So I think it's a lot more serious in that sense when it comes to rock. But it's also I guess much more industry led, whereas Monterrey is just more gritty. It's everybody is just trying to do the best they can. And we also because of that, I think Monterrey, the competition was very, very steep. So you would see a lot of really, really good artists sometimes, but it was hard for them to really make ends meet by just being musicians. Whereas in Austin, it's a scene that is actually very, very supportive of its independent musicians.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds amazing, too. We'll talk about your album in just a minute, Heartwoken, but first listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com. It's powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Mention The Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, over 25 podcast platforms. Check The Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter. And also stay tuned to The Mike Wagner Show on Facebook for the latest updates. We're here with Etienne Rosas from the Revies here on the Mike Wagner Show, talking about their journey from Brownsville, Texas into Monterrey and also in Austin and currently in the South Padre Island area. They were in Los Angeles before the pandemic hit. And let's talk about your release, Heartwoken. You released a few singles and tell us more about the album, Heartwoken.
So, actually, that was one of the mentions I was going to make. Heartwoken was our it was the first thing that we recorded coming to LA, but our newest release is actually it's called Stranger, and it's it's a little different than the Heartwoken stuff because we actually recorded all of that. Stranger was actually fully recorded in 4th Street Recording in Los Angeles with Los Angeles production, and that's actually the stuff that we're just barely about to put out. It's just fresh out of the oven. So yeah, when we recorded Heartbroken, it was sort of like a dual kind of production, because we did some stuff in LA for it, and then we went back to Monterrey and recorded some of the stuff there, and it was sort of a back and forth. And this one is special in the sense that we fully, all the production team, everything that we did was basically done in Los Angeles, and it's much more, I think, in tune with the scene, the West Side scene there.
Wow, that is amazing. So you did some recording in Los Angeles, then did some recording in Monterrey, and then in Los Angeles as well. I guess the big question is, how'd you guys manage to pull it off in two different countries?
Well, in ways, it's like recording in Los Angeles is kind of expensive. So one of the things that we had going for us is that we know a lot of people in Monterrey and a lot of really, really qualified professionals, like audio engineers and stuff like that. So they're like really world quality, but at the same time, they're kind of amenable to us because they've worked with us before, and the pricing is pretty good. So we would go back and forth, and we would use that as an opportunity to play shows in bars over there, and do like some mini tours in Mexico, and then just come back and go about our normal lives in Los Angeles and play shows there. So it's sort of nice to be able to have that escape and different type of world, and at the same time take advantage of these amazing studios in both places.
It sounds amazing too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, yeah. Then actually, when it was being in the West Side scene in LA, that's where we met the producer who recorded us for this one, and he was actually pretty instrumental in connecting us to 4th Street Recording in Santa Monica. And that's where we recorded this latest material. So it was a pretty amazing experience. That 4th Street Recording, I don't know if you know the history behind it, but it's where Incubus recorded Science, and Gwen Stefani, or No Doubt, they recorded their first material there. A lot of these iconic artists were recording their first records there.
Wow, it sounds like it's along the lines of Sun Records, Muscle Shoals, and also, I'm trying to think of some of the recording studios. Right now, it's not coming to me right now, but it'll come back later as well, too. Let's talk about some of your songs on Heartbroken, and you can talk about your new release, Stranger, in a few minutes. You have Sweet Surrender, Do or Die, the title track, Moonlight Waltz, and Bang Bang. Tell us more about those songs and what inspired you to write them.
The question?
No, you have the songs in there from Heartbroken, Sweet Surrender, Do or Die, yeah. Also the title track we're going to play a little bit later, Moonlight Waltz and Bang Bang. Tell us more about those songs and what inspired you to write those.
So those, we recorded Heartbroken and the initial tracks for that song, for that EP, which was sort of released first as a 5-song EP. During, I think it was around 2016, actually. That's when we started playing those songs live in LA. And then afterwards, we added Do or Die, Sweet Surrender.
Okay.
Like a full-on LP of that. And those were added around 2017 or 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And we recorded a lot of that material in Monterrey.
Oh,
and those kind of, I think, like have a big influence of, they still sort of retain a lot of our older elements from more like, I guess, like some of the dirty rock stuff that we had been doing, like it's got a lot of Jack White influence on my part. We tried to do something that was, in a sense, modern, but still maintained our sort of classic roots from the previous recordings we had. So it was like a little bit of a transition. If you look at Heartbroken has still some of the kind of like sort of country rockish elements that I think we picked up in Austin and places playing in Texas and Monterrey, which have like similar influences.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like it, too. And we'll play our title track in just a minute. We'll talk about that. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your next project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and listen to the Mike Wagner Show over 25 podcast platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also, follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today, and also check out the Mike Wagner Show on Facebook for any major updates. We're here at Etienne Rosas from the Revies here on the Mike Wagner Show, talking about their album Heartwoken. Right now, let's play the title track. Here's Heartwoken from the Revies right here on the Mike Wagner Show. Heartwoken from the Revies here on the Mike Wagner Show. Tell us more about that song from the title track and what inspired you to write it. Okay, Etienne from the Revies, are you there? Are you there? Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you here. It sounds like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here, but we got Etienne Rosas from the Revies on. Tell us more about that song, Heartwoken, and what inspired you to write the song.
So Heartwoken, it was one of those songs that I remember before writing it, we actually had every other song on that EP pretty much ready to go. Which is about 4 songs. It was like Bang Bang, Moonlight Waltz, and I forgot which other 2. But we had those 4 songs ready to go for the studio. I think we were already in them, like tracking some of them. And then Heartwoken was one of those songs that I just kind of picked up my guitar one day and, was just fiddling around with it and came up with that riff that you hear at the beginning. And then it just was one of those that it was just starting to flow. And the lyrics came at the same time as I was like just strumming. And then it just, it came together very quickly, showed it to everybody else. And they were like, yeah, you should, we should record that thing. So it came together very, very quickly, very naturally. And it just felt like the right thing to take the album in. And then when, so the whole idea, the play on words there of Heartwoken is basically this notion of how, everybody's been heartbroken before, everybody's been let down, or everybody has an idea of how the world works or how, your job, your relationship is going. And then suddenly something happens that makes it all, fall apart. And you end up in some kind of a state of disbelief or, depression or whatever that comes from it. But in reality, it's this notion that, every heartbreak that happens is sort of like an awakening to a new reality of something that maybe you were just hanging on to that was no longer there, or maybe something that never was there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like an opening to truth. So the whole idea of the play on words is like, instead of, feeling like you're heartbroken, really it's sort of like your heart waking up to this new reality, and something that makes you better in a certain ways. It helps you to realize the truth that maybe you would have ignored otherwise.
That's
the whole story behind it.
That's amazing too. It's like, instead of being heartbroken, it's heartwoken. That's just a new way of thinking things. And you'll listen to that sound card. It reminds me of Aerosmith and ZZ Top just coming together with the style of music, and also, very clever lyrics. I gotta say that. It's just like you put the two together very nicely and very well.
Thank you.
That's amazing too. And also, let's talk about your new release, Stranger, that's coming up, and maybe just tell us a bit about that.
So, Stranger is if you hear it, I think actually when I showed this song to some of the people who have been closest to us over the years and who have liked our material, they were a little bit sort of taken aback by it because it sounds a little different from what we tend to do. It definitely removes it a little bit more from the classic rock elements that we tend to use, like the grittier type of elements,
Mm-hmm.
and has like this like more sensitive indie rock vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still us, but it's a little different in the sense of a vibe, and it was very much like I think like one of the bigger influences for that song was Foles, Cage the Elephant, and a couple of the probably like some Death Cab for Cutie type of stuff, like the stuff that we've always also listened to that's a little softer but has like some kind of the background to it is still sort of very much like a classic rock background, but it has like an indie rock sensibility. That was kind of what we were going for with that song, and Stranger just basically was this sort of ode to being in a new place, it's like sort of embracing the fact that you weren't at ease where you were, but that's okay. You could still. And I think it was probably, brought along by some pretty wacky psychedelic experiences that we may have had along the way, now that you listen to the lyric. So it has like some of those components of where you sort of realize maybe you're not exactly where you want to be, or you're not exactly where you feel comfortable, but that's a good thing. It's a good thing to feel a little bit of a discomfort and to embrace that kind of discomfort and like sometimes that sort of faint fear that you feel of being in a new area.
Mm-hmm. That sounds amazing too. And of course, so where can people find your albums at?
So right now we're actually releasing these as singles. So Stranger will come out tomorrow, and you can download it or pre-save it on Spotify, or save it tomorrow on Spotify. But it's also on every other major social, every other player out there. So you can also go to like iTunes, Google Play, and every one of them. It'll be out on every one of those sources. Also, you should check out the lyric video we have for it. It was developed by a very talented Mexican City-based artist. He's the one who does most of our videos, Marcelo Quiñones.
Mm-hmm.
And he did this really amazing lyric video for it, which has like a lot of very sort of iconic, I guess, imagery, and I think it just it blends really nicely with the music. So yeah, you can check it out on YouTube. Go to Spotify. Check us out on Instagram. Instagram is where we post all our newest stuff as well, and the links to everything. And our handle is the.revies, so fairly easy to remember.
That sounds very good. We're here with Etienne Rosas from the Revies here on the Mike Wagner Show. Big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. And just a few more here. And what can we expect from you from 2020 and beyond?
Well, as you know, it's a pretty interesting year. Suffice it to say that I think we have had to reshape our entire schedule and agenda around whatever happens. Because we were obviously planning to do like this summer tour, go around, and promote our new material. But nowadays, like that's probably not on the table at least in the form that it used to be. So I think we're kind of playing it by ear. We're trying to promote online as much as possible. Maybe do a live showcase, at least to start off with a couple of live showcases on Instagram and streamed on a couple of other shows. And and hopefully start getting back on the road and doing a couple of live shows in the near future. But we'll obviously, I think everybody at this point in the music industry is kind of playing stuff by ear, so we'll keep everybody posted.
Sounds great. And keep us posted as well, too. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
My biggest influence in my career?
Yes.
Oh man, you mean like other like a person in my life, or
yeah, or it can be like a person, or say music or anything like that. Who do you consider biggest influence in careers? That the ones that really shaped you today.
I guess like somebody like at least from the musician perspective, somebody like Chris Cornell was one of those musicians that was a pretty big revelation to me. Not only because he was just an amazing singer, I think like a lot of people would probably even agree, like one of the all-time best singers out there. But it was also, I think, like from the way that he lived his music, the kind of the writing that he did was very, very soulful as well. He was very invested in it, and it seemed to be like music for music's sake. Like that was kind of a perspective that I thought, especially nowadays, that it's hard to be a musician and it's hard to keep sometimes investing into it, investing time and investing resources when it's not exactly an easy environment for a musician. It's sort of like those kinds of artists that seem to breathe their own music and breathe others' music and embrace like the artistic world and everything that's out there. It just sort of shows you it's sort of like a reward in and of its own, and it's just so worth it. So I think somebody like him would be somebody that really shaped the way that I think about it and that I live music.
Mm-hmm. And very good indeed as well too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Advice, I would say, don't stop doing what you can't not do. So if there's something that really impassions you, that pushes you forward, and that regardless of what anybody says and like thinks of like whether there's an investment there or anything like that, if it's something that makes you who you are and makes you feel satisfied and makes you feel like alive, which I think is like one of the things that we take away from this, being in a live, for example, environment, playing for other people and connecting with them through music is one of the most rewarding experiences you could possibly have. Mm-hmm. So like, I would say, to other people who like sometimes doubt it or whatever, if it's something that really kind of speaks to you, just keep doing it. And I think it'll give you the fruit of that effort eventually. And if even then, the journey in and of itself is just going to be worth it.
And that's very important as well, too. Once again, Etienne Rosas from the Revies here on the Mike Wagner Show. Big thank you for your time. You guys have been fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or listen to your music? Okay, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your upcoming projects? What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or listen to your music at?
We pretty much have everything up on Spotify. You can go to also our Bandcamp and buy, if you want to help us out, and buy our albums there. It's the revies.bandcamp.com. That's usually where we post everything up. Other than that, we post everything we have on Instagram, also on Facebook. But Instagram is probably the easiest way to reach us. If you want us to come and play in your city or whatever, we'd love to play everywhere that we can. We're a pretty international band, so anything that comes up, we always consider it. Feel free to drop us a line at our Instagram, and we always answer everything. So again, Instagram.com /the.revies.
That's fantastic. Looking forward to it. And once again, guys, a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor. Keep us up to date. Love you to have back on 2020 and beyond. You've been fantastic.
Thanks, Mike. It's been great.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.